It's Tuesday. I hope your week is off to a great start. Another Build the Back to the Future DeLorean episode is headed your way. Welcome back to Brickscale Studio. My name is Jeff. Thank you so much for joining me. It is always a pleasure to have you with me on the Build the Back to the Future DeLorean. And so today's going to be a nice, easy build as we sort of coast along to the end of the build for the DeLorean. Today we're going to be focusing on the two exhaust cowls in the rear of the DeLorean. So pretty straightforward there. And then remember last week we actually finished the part 1 version of the DeLorean on the LEGO side. So today we'll be converting the part 1 version to the part 2 version, which includes the fusion reactor and hover mode. So we'll be taking a look at that on the LEGO side. So let's get into the build and we'll talk about it after. Here is issue 121. So we get the left reactor exhaust cowl and a pipe. So this is going to be a pretty simple issue. All we're doing is pushing the pipe into the side of the cowl, and that is it. So here's the magazine. And then next issue we'll be adding some additional parts. Here is the parts pack for issue 121. All right, so here is our cowl. This is plastic. And all we are going to be doing is taking this little pipe. So there is it's kind of elastic in between there. This end is more of a 90-degree angle, and this is sort of a diagonal. So the 90-degree is going here. So we're just going to push that in, and then the other side is going right here. So that is it for this issue. So for issue 221, we have top, middle, and bottom vanes and a cable. So we're basically going to be attaching these parts to the cowl that we made, or that we had in the previous issue. So this part's going to be a little fiddly because we're going to have to line up these holes and screw all these in. And then we will be attaching it to the reactor platform. And then we get the right cowl in the next issue. So there's the parts pack for issue 122. All right, and so these vanes are stamped. So the top one is number 1, the middle is number 2, and the bottom is number 3. And then we have our cable, and then we have some FP and some NP screws. All right, so we want to take the cowl. And the first one we want to put in is the top. It's number 1. And there is a little slot that this will sit on. So that might help us line up these holes, because I think that's going to be our main point of annoyance here. All right, and that's going in. Those are going in with NP screws. So we are in plastic and plastic, so don't need to over tighten those, as I always say. So now we're just going to flip this around and do this side. And because the other side's already lined up, this side should already be lined up, and it is. So easy does it there. All right, so that's the top one in. Next, of course, we want the middle one, which is number 2. And it's going to be the same thing. We're just going to put this in. And It is nice that there is a little notch on the inside that kind of holds that panel and helps you guide it in. Perfect. And then, of course, we're going to do the bottom one now, which is number 3. All right, and so number 3 is only going in with one screw in the back here. So this one might be a little more difficult because we don't have a little notch to help us. All right, so we got one side in. And I'm not sure the angle that we're going to have to position this or where we're going to screw this other into. So I'm going to leave these slightly loose until we know how we need to adjust this. Alright, so I still have some room to adjust this if I need to. So now we're going to bring over the reactor platform that we've been working on. And this is going to go. There are some holes here that will match up with these locators. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cowl secured. And then I'm going to try to get those pipes in. All right, perfect. So now we can go ahead and try. Actually, it looks like they've all kind of lined up. All right, so we got that in. So remember this pipe that we installed, or this tube that we installed. We want to take that, and that is going to go right in this hole. All right, so there we got that. And then this piece is going to go right in here. So of course that's going to be fun. There we go. So I believe, yes, that is it for this issue. Here is issue 122, and this one's going to be simple. We're just putting that cowl all right, perfect. I don't even need the instructions for this one. Get those out. And again, well, let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. Okay. All right, so we want this to go this way, and again, we want to put this hose here and here, and that holds in without any glue. And again, the sort of 90-degree angle goes toward, so I guess this would be toward the rear of it because it's going to sit on the car, and then this one goes here. So that is it for issue 123. On to 124. And this is going to be just like the other one where we have our 3 vanes and some pipes. And then we have some cabling, it looks like, in the next issue. Here are the parts for issue 124. Okay, so we're going to be doing the same thing. We're just going to be putting these vanes in. And again, we are in luck because they give us a little ledge to rest them on. So that is good. So those are going in with MP screws. All right, and again, I'm not tightening those all the way because there is a hole here. So I'm not sure where that's going to meet. If it's going to meet anything, it may not. So we shall see. All right, so we got that done. All right, next, I'm going to turn this onto this side. And we want to take this little cable. Now this one, both of them are 90 degrees, so it doesn't matter. And we want to put that on in this hole here. So that is in. And now we want to bring back our reactor panel, or our reactor platform. And again, I'm going to kind of line these up. And I'm going to secure that on the bottom, and then we'll get those pipes in. So that's going to be 3 F-piece screws. And 3. Perfect. Okay, we got those in. So let's just line up. Now remember, this side we had a little difficulty with these pipes, so we had to kind of glue them in a little. So these are a little less flexible, but we got them in for the most part. So we put that in, we put that in. All right, this, again, we're gonna come in to this hole here. All right, that is secure. And then we have this extra pipe, so it is going, again, in this hole, which they don't really give you a whole lot of room here. So I'm going to try to make that a little bigger. See if we can get this to slot in there. All right, and then there is a little lug right here that we're going to put this end on, just like so. Boom, boom. So that is it, and that's our reactor platform looking pretty cool. Let me just line that up a little bit. Not sure where this piece is going here. Anyway, that is it for this episode. And let's move over to the LEGO side. Here is the LEGO DeLorean, and if you remember in the last episode, we finished. We're done. We already installed our cowls. We have everything ready to go. So this is the DeLorean from Back to the Future Part 1. So we do have alternate builds, so I thought I would show you, on at least on the LEGO version, we have alternate builds for the scale model, but I did not opt for those parts, so I am only stopping with Back to the Future Part 1 on the scale model side. But on the LEGO side, the set came with all the parts, so let's convert this to the Back to the Future Part 2 version. So we need to remove the hook, so that goes away. For the Part 2 version, the hood is the same and the wheels are the same. So the only thing we're going to build for the Part 2 version is the Mr. Fusion reactor. So let's get into that. Okay, so this is the DeLorean converted to the Back to the Future Part 2 version. So here you can see we have the Mr. Fusion reactor with a banana and a can of soda. And then obviously if we turn the car over, remember we have our hover mode. So we can turn it into hover mode, and this is the Back to the Future DeLorean from Back to the Future Part 2. So that is the end of the LEGO portion. So let's recap what we did today. Okay, so this is what we completed today. So for the LEGO portion, again, remember we finished it for Back to the Future Part 1 last week. And so this week we just converted it to Part 2 just to see what that looks like. So here we have it in We have the Mr. Fusion reactor, and then we have it in hover mode, or we can switch it back to drive mode, just like that. And then for the scale model side, we just built and installed the left and right exhaust cowls, just like so. Okay, so only one more build episode, and it's a short one for next week, but that is it for this week. So what did I tell you? A pretty chill build on the scale model side, just those two cowls. And then on the LEGO side, we converted the Back to the Future Part 1 DeLorean to the Back to the Future Part 2 DeLorean. So it's nice that the LEGO set gives you all three options, whereas on the scale model side, as I mentioned, we get option 1 and 2, we get for movies 1 and 2, but for the third movie, when they do the railroad conversion, that was an add-on to the subscription, so basically more money. So I did not opt to do that for the scale model side. So we will only be looking at the first two versions on the scale model side. But we will next week be looking at the railroad version for the LEGO DeLorean. So let's get into our summary. On the scale model side, we completed 31 steps and used 13 parts. And then for the LEGO side, since I'm going to be leaving it in the Part 1 version, I'm not counting the steps and parts to convert it to the Part 2 version. So total to date for the scale model, 1,319 steps and 852 parts. And for the LEGO version, same as last week, 761 steps and 1,728 parts. Just to FYI, the total part count of all the pieces included on the LEGO side is 1,872. But we only need 1,728 of them to create the Part 1 DeLorean. So that's why I'm leaving the counts there. Okay, so next week is our final build episode where we will be completing the last two issues of the scale model. And then we'll, like I've already said, we'll convert the LEGO version to the movie Part 3 railroad version. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And again, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. Hit that bell notification to notify you of some upcoming videos, some new builds that we have coming up for April. Two new series that we're starting in April. One comes all the way from the planet Cybertron, and the other one comes from across the pond in Southampton about 100 years ago. So, well, more than 100 years ago, actually. So be sure to stay tuned for those. And until we see each other again, happy building, take care, be kind to each other, and I'll see you soon.